I think we're live. Sometimes I just hit record and I just start going. So that's what I'm going to do today. It looks like the live chat doesn't pop up for a bit. There it goes. So yeah, today I'm trying out a new distribution. I'm not going to call it that strictly because I don't think they want it referred to as a distribution for Linux. But if you're a person that just uses a PC or a Mac and you want to try something different, something with more freedom, from the inside out, it's completely freedom-based, privacy respecting. Try Linux. Try a flavor of Linux, a distribution, a flavor of a distribution. That's the proper way to say it, I believe. But got to finish this coffee because it's getting cold. Please don't mind me. All right, that's the best I could do. But yeah, today this flavor, or I'll call it almost distribution, is called KDE Neon. And what is KDE Neon? Because it's not considered a distribution. Even in their FAQ, it says that. But I want to talk about it today because I just started messing with it, and it's pretty sweet. First off, let's here's a view of the laptop I have it hooked up to. And I say laptop because most reviewers or people talking about Linux do this a lot, and they're using a VM. Nothing against a VM or VirtualBox or QEMU or whatever. But to me, a piece of hardware is the real way to use it. If you're going to install it on your computer, well, that's how you're going to use it. You're not going to be using it in a VM unless you're just testing it for like 5 minutes. Well, you're going to really be using it on a computer. So I'm going to install every distribution that I try, not in a VM, but on an actual piece of hardware. So that's kind of cool, I think, to do it this way, because it's going to be more snappy. Generally, I mean, you really won't notice the difference probably between the performance of a VM if you give it enough resources. But to me, this is the real way to do it. And, kind of looks like Windows off the bat. But anyways, before we get into it, I want to talk about the KDE Neon website. So this is neon.kde.org. And if you go here to their FAQ section, you'll notice that it says, what is KDE Neon? It's a rapidly updated software repository. So the reason they're not claiming or taking credit for calling it a distribution, I think, is because it's built on a stable version of like Ubuntu Linux. It says right there, it uses the foundation of the latest Ubuntu LTS. So it's just, here's a stable layer right on the bottom, and then here's our desktop on top of it. And you generally get the latest KDE, which I think that's cool because the latest KDE Plasma is known to be pretty awesome. And for the first time, I think I actually might try using it longer term. I've tried to use KDE, I don't know, for the last 15 years on and off, and I loved it back when it was, I don't know, Slack Linux or Slackware. I think that was KDE. I think there was one called Canodix Linux. I used to use this in like 2006, and it was amazing. But then it got to be too much that I didn't need. But that's the beauty of KDE. It can appear real simple and light, or you can customize every feature. That's the cool thing about KDE. Now, they talk about it here. Is it a distro? They say right here, not quite. It's a package archive with the latest KDE software. So if you're running a distribution that runs KDE, like Manjaro or Endeavor OS, they are going to be running KDE. And they will get the latest version eventually, but it depends on when that package management or that community decides that their distribution is going to get that latest version of KDE. This one is just it. It's the latest version of KDE over top of Ubuntu. So you really can't go wrong as long as it runs smoothly. And I went ahead and installed this on my laptop, my personal laptop here, and it ran right out of the box. Sound, everything, solid. Just like Ubuntu does, just like Linux Mint does, runs perfectly. So let's see if I can turn and use this laptop because, like, again, it's not on my desktop. It's right on a separate machine that I have plugged in through HDMI capture card to my computer. So if you see this desktop now, I can click around and go to different applications. And one thing you'll notice about this, the newer versions of KDE, I think, is this. Let's see. Let's open a window. Let's open a couple windows. Let's open up graphics software. Let's open up Ocular. Okay, so I got 3 things open. So then if I swipe up into the top left corner, this little hotspot area, you can see that it does this little overview thing, similar to that Windows 10 task view, but it gives you these little kill buttons. You can click on each window to close it at a glance, or you can just click the window itself to bring it to be active. And this is with no, I did not, this is a fresh install. I did not do anything on this other than type in my Wi-Fi password and create a login that it had me walk through. So I did all that, and, it's got my Wi-Fi, and it does come with a little software center. So to me, it is a Linux distribution, but they're maybe just being humble or just staying out of taking credit for Ubuntu, because but they put this together and it's really nice. It's got a cool, you can search for software on here to install. I could search for software that I'd like to remove, which would be Firefox. I'm going to remove Firefox, just due to their, I don't know, they kind of got a little political last year, and just, they're in trouble financially, I think. They're just shrinking, and I would support them if they weren't going crazy the last year, in my opinion. It just seems like that. And I know a lot of Linux community is going to hate me for saying that, but I'm not that big in the Linux community, and I don't care. So I'm going to say what I think, and I'm going to remove Firefox and install something like Brave, which I don't want to. Maybe I'll find a fork of Firefox if it exists. I think there is one out there where, the idea of Firefox is beautiful. Firefox is great. It's just I don't like where they've been going lately. But I'll install a fork of Firefox, and to me, that's a browser that's not locked down to something that's been created based on Google source code, Chromium, like Brave is, and just about every other browser out there, like Vivaldi, a lot of browsers. I think any kind of fork of Firefox is going to be a success. So I'm going to try that and install that on here. And this is going to be my daily driver outside of work when I browse the internet and look up stuff for the show. I'm going to try this out. Now, is there anything else you should know about this? Yeah, there's a ton of features in KDE Plasma. Let's see. If we go look up latest version KDE Plasma features, because I don't know them all off the top of my head. I do not. But right here is no, that's not recent enough. Here we go. There's one from, let's find one that's, wow. Yeah, Brave Search. Come on, guys. I love Brave Search, but still, got to use Google sometimes, and that sucks. But I'm not signed into Google, I don't think. Oops, I should type it in the address bar, not the search box of Brave. There we go. So let's look around here. There we go, January 3rd. That's a little more recent. And I should probably be showing you my screen, because now I'm there. There we go. Oh yeah, there I am as well. So here are the new features. Perhaps the most, and you see them doing that little overview effect that I just did. Perhaps the most important, or the important change in this release, is the new overview screen, which is awesome, which we discussed earlier. The new Plasma overview screen is changing, and it somehow reminds you of GNOME's. And again, if you're already using GNOME, like if you're using, Cinnamon, or, a fresh install of Ubuntu Linux, you probably already are familiar with GNOME. But they kind of took that finally and implemented it, because a lot of people loved it. A lot of people that use GNOME, it's clean and simple, and added that to KDE, which is great. And you can do it with Meta W, which Meta key, I wouldn't call it Meta anymore because of Facebook, in my opinion, but Meta is your Windows key, and, or the command key, I guess, if you will, on a Mac. But the Meta key plus W, if you hit that, that's supposed to bring you that overview effect as well. So let's see if I close a window and try Meta W. It didn't work. So it says you can launch the overview with Meta W. I probably have to check my keyboard settings. But also it says the system is getting a settings window. The system settings window is now available as menu items, thus eliminating another settings dialog, which is great, because I always had a problem and I thought KDE was way too cluttered. And it just looks simpler to me somehow. Whatever magic they did, it's digestible now. Let's see what else was new that was significant. Discover. This is all cool stuff. If you've never used Linux, this probably doesn't matter. Just start using it and try it out, and I think you'll like it. It's pretty cool. But let's search for an app and just try that. Let's go back to the laptop screen. And for people that are looking at Linux for the first time, this is what's so cool about it, in my opinion. All these different software stores that work really well. So Krita is kind of like another Photoshop alternative, like how the GIMP is, or the GNU message whatever GNU. What is GIMP? Image processing program. What does GIMP stand for? GNU image manipulation. Isn't it manipulation? I can't even talk today. Manipulation program. It's called GNU image manipulation program. Sorry about that. So that's what the GIMP is. But here now on my screen, you can search for ones that are already recommended or featured. Let's see if they have GIMP. Yes, they do. They have down here, you can see GNU image manipulation program. I don't know why I can't say manipulation today. I am turning into Porky the Pig. So if I click on, well, they even have Photogimp, which is cool. So Photogimp is a version where you basically customize the user directory area that it installs to, and you can make the icons appear more like Photoshop. Let's try this. Let's see if it does not fail out of the box. Usually I just install GIMP, and then I install the Photogimp plugin, which is just extracting a folder, and then it works. Type in my password, press enter. So it's going to download a snap. A snap is a containerized version of an application. It takes up more space generally, takes longer to launch on the first launch, but what it does is it's containerized. It's separate from your system, has all its needed dependencies inside of it. So you don't have to install a bunch of crap to get it to run, but it generally does take up a lot of space. But they work really well in my experience. Flatpaks are more desired in my opinion, which I think Ubuntu is going away from eventually. I'm hoping, but this snap basically has everything you need within itself to work. So when I install Photogimp, it should just work out of the box without me needing to customize anything. So they're very easy. What I recommend if you're searching in the software store and you come upon a version that says you can have the Flatpak version or just the regular application version versus the snap or Flatpak version, just go with the application version, but because it tends to use up less space. You can see it's taking a little bit long to install. I'm on a gigabit fiber connection, so it's downloading a bit of data. But once it's done, again, it should just run right out of the box with no dependencies. Another thing that I noticed about, or that this distribution does out of the box like some other distributions do, and I know I shouldn't be calling this a distribution, but out of the box, natural scrolling is disabled, which to me is more natural for scrolling in reverse, I guess they call it, when you're swiping up on your touchpad on the laptop. And I should put the camera on me so I can show you my hands. When you're swiping up, with your two fingers to scroll down the page, to me that's the natural scrolling method is more natural. That's disabled by default. I just go into touchpad settings and check the box, enable natural scrolling, and it makes it just more natural or fluid when you're swiping down the page. So I recommend that if that feature feels normal to you. But let's go back to the laptop, and it looks like it's just about done. It says 93%. But yeah, natural scrolling, I'm swiping with my fingers. I've noticed that the scrolling in this KDE Neon environment is very smooth. It's very fast. It doesn't feel laggy like I've had on other distributions on this same laptop. So here we go. It's done. Let's go look under our programs, under graphics now, and you should see Photogimp. There it is. So watch even the splash screen they customize in Photogimp. And remember, I said these containerized installs take longer to launch on the first launch, but the next time I launch this, it'll be instant. So now see this Photogimp. It's a custom hacked version by DO Linux, and this is pretty sweet. Look at the layout. It's very Photoshop-esque. It's not Photoshop, but guess what? It's free. You didn't pay anything for it. You can do just about anything. If you take a tutorial online, there's people showing you how to do it that are awesome with this program. You can just see the layout is very familiar to Photoshop. Do I have Photoshop on my... Yes, I do have it on my computer. Let's see. I have the whole Creative Cloud. Let's do Photoshop and see if I can actually pull it up on my other computer for you. And this is the very latest version of Photoshop. And can you come up on the screen? Let's get it to go here in a second. And I can, close this. We don't need that anymore. So, wow, Photoshop took longer on its multiple launches and now it's trying to bring a pop-up on my screen. I'm not going to bring all this. Oh my God. Photoshop is a bloated, amazing piece of crap, in my opinion. So here's Photoshop. It's not really loaded yet. There it is. It's loaded. It's just, I don't know, man. Can I open an image? Let's see. Let's take a screenshot of something and try opening an image. I'll take a screenshot of myself on my other screen, save it as an image, and then open it in Photoshop. So let's see. Dork. Let's name him Dork. And then I'm going to save it. Go to my desktop. Oops. long delay. There's my tons of crap here. It's hard to do this when you got the other screen taken over by your laptop. So it's kind of, well, it's hard for me to do this. Let's try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to skip it. Oh my God, there it goes. Okay, so here's a screenshot of me in Photoshop. Look at right here on the left side. Doesn't that look familiar? And let's go back here to my laptop and open up Photogimp. Let's see if it launches quicker on the second launch like I claimed it would. Photogimp. Oh yeah, much faster. So, I mean, this is a 1080p screen here. This is a 4K screen when I go back to my desktop. So it's going to look way more squashed and just huge area. But, I mean, look at this. Very similar. Even the order of the icons is very similar. Are there more tools in Photoshop? Is it more advanced? Yes. Are you going to use all those features in Photoshop necessarily that you would use, that you know, if you're getting started? Probably not. Or do you need to? Probably not. I mean, you can do just about anything in GIMP. And a lot of these open source activists that are on there that are really good with these tools do all of their work in it. Like, they practice what they preach, and they do a really good job. It's incredible. So I hope this was informative. If you ever want to check out a new distribution of Linux, if you think you want me to make more videos, maybe on how to install them, I would be happy to do that. Just got to see what people want and if it's worth my time and your time for me to do it. Thanks, and have a great weekend.